CloudDB, shaping your new normal.
Welcome everyone to the 2021 APAC Groundbreakers Virtual Tour by Apaco UC. This year our event will be the biggest one ever done with 144 sessions, including normal sessions, workshops, and hands-on labs from 100 different speakers over 17 days. Also, it will cover sessions in 4 different languages. Please remember to register to as many sessions as you can. This way you'll be able to watch the replays until December 30 for all the sessions you have registered to. I would like to say thanks to our Oracle user groups and Java user groups that made this event possible, and also to our sponsors, Oracle Groundbreakers, and your main sponsor, CloudDB. Now for today's session, Oracle Cloud Reporting Tutorial by Basheer Khan. Please feel free to ask questions at any time during the session by using the chat tab of live webinar in your right lower corner of your screen. And in this case, the speaker, Basheer Khan, will be answering all your questions at the end of the session. If there is any issues during the presentation, please feel free to contact me at any time by using the same chat window of live webinar. Now, without any more delays, I would like to leave you with this amazing session by Basheer Khan. Basheer, the room is all yours.
Thank you so much, Francisco. Great to be back. This is my second session at the APAC OUC. I had also presented last year. It's great and honor to be part of this amazing conference. I'd like to have a special welcome to those of you watching from Nepal, India, Singapore, and I think it's the first time we are live streaming to your regions. So I'm very pleased to be participating in this with you. So I'm an Oracle ACE director. I specialize in cloud applications. I touch on both the business side of the applications and the technical side. Today's session is going to be a little bit technical, but I'll try to also introduce some business aspects so those of you who are end users can leverage some of the ad hoc reporting capabilities of these applications. So let's start out by looking at the agenda. We have a few slides covering the overview of reporting, how and what we're going to report against. You will see that the session touches or uses the reporting tools from Oracle Cloud Applications. Some of these tools can also be used with your other data sources or the non-Oracle Cloud applications. I'll mention that when we look at the tool. Next, after looking at the overview of reporting and understanding how these applications evolve, we will talk about the reporting capabilities. What are the different features or unique aspects of these reporting tools? After we complete that, we will be looking at the data model. As you know, data is very important to generate reports and KPIs. So it's good and it's important for you to understand where to look for and to learn how the data is residing within these applications. And lastly, time permitting, we will touch on the reporting tutorial, just looking at some of the tooling and how you would actually build reports. And indeed, as Francisco said, please start asking your questions in the chat. When we get towards the end of the presentation, after all the slides are complete, I will address your questions from the chat. So with that said, we will look at how the reporting evolved in Oracle Cloud Applications. So Cloud Applications, as you may know, some of you may know, is best of the rest, built from scratch, next generation applications that leveraged Oracle's hundreds of years of learning with their flagship product, eBusiness Suite, with PeopleSoft that they acquired. PeopleSoft already had JD Edwards, and then there's an acquisition of Siebel. So there's different ERP or different types of applications that Oracle had, and they looked at all these different applications and combined them and generated a brand new application. So this cloud applications are not like any of the other applications. They do not use the same technology or framework. They have been built from the ground up specifically for the cloud. So those are the Fusion applications. Within the Fusion applications or cloud applications, you have several modules, different areas. So if you're looking for financial information or purchasing or procurement information, projects information, you to build reports against that, you'll be using the ERP suite. If you're looking at planning and budgeting, tax reporting, you'll be using the EPM suite. If you're looking at employees and their assignments and their the payroll information, you'll be using the HCM suite. If you're looking at candidates and open positions that are there, part of your recruiting, you'd be looking at the talent management suite. If you're interested in how's your sales pipeline, how many service tickets or repair orders on your system, how your marketing campaigns are doing, you will be working on the marketing, sales, and service suite. If you're interested in your e-commerce website, like online site, and if you're interested in reporting against codes and orders that the customers have placed, you'll be using the Commerce CPQ and Order Capture suite. And then in terms of supply chain, a very rich suite with so many different modules within it. So if you want to report on inventory, order management, distribution, manufacturing, quality, work in process, costing, to name a few, all these are bundled within the supply chain management suite. And manufacturing in particular, there's different types of manufacturing, process manufacturing, discrete manufacturing, and so on. All those are in the manufacturing modules of Oracle. So as you can see, there's such a vast array of modules, products, and data that's collected. The best part about all these modules is that they share a single data source, meaning everything's stored in a central database. All the modules are in one, talking to one database. That makes it much easier to extract the information and build your reports, connecting the dots, connecting different data sets, connecting and correlating information from all these different areas to extract reports and intelligence out of your system and use that to make meaningful decisions and support the growth of your organization. So that's the power of these cloud applications. So as I said, it's a lot of data. It's kept in one place, but then different team members, different users, different employees have different needs. Depending on what your role is within your organization, you will have a completely different set of requirements, right? But the best part is that these applications and the tooling that Oracle provides lends itself to giving insights for everyone. So it's able to cater to the needs of everybody. And how did Oracle accomplish that? Is by providing an array of reporting tools that different users and different individuals can use. And we're going to be looking and talking about those in today's session. Before we go there, let's look at some of the types of reports. Now, you may think reporting is just reporting, you extract the information, you present it, but there's so many different kinds of report. It's well worth looking at a few of them. First, we all used to printed reports. Gone are the days of mainframes and printing on green colored paper, the dot matrix printers, some of you may remember from many, many decades ago. Now the reports look much better, but still majority of us depend on printed reports, right? So you have reports that are built based on specific requirements and they're printed out, and nowadays they also sent via PDF. So that's one type of reports. But these kind of reports, you need to predefine. You need to tell the developer, okay, I need these columns in my report, I need these rows in my report, add the logo on the left. So you're kind of establishing the requirements, and then the developer builds it, and you're using it. The problem with such reports is if you want anything changed, even the smallest change, could take a few days or hours, depending on how quickly your developers can work or how quickly they can turn it around. So many times you have to wait before any changes can be made to the reports, or If you want new reports built, there's a lag, there's some time. You have a dependency on the technical team, on the IT team to provide these reports for you. Alternatively, you could look at interactive reports, which means these are not printed, they're part of your application access on the browser. The advantage here is if you want to see, for example, here on this report, you see page 1, it says US 1 legal entity 1 business unit 1. Now, if you want to look at a different legal entity, a different business unit, you simply can click the drop down and change the page and look at a different company. Or if you see above that, there's a whole bunch of links where if you wanted to see the report for a different ledger or a different currency, you could change that easily. So you're not depending on the IT completely. The report was built by them, but they allow you to change and look at different aspects of the report without going back to them. So those are interactive reports where the report lets you interact with it. The report lets you make changes, but it's all pre-programmed, of course. And sometimes in these reports, when you see a link, like the first column or the second column that you see actual in blue color, that would indicate that you can click on that and drill down to detail. So you have an ability to get more information all from a single report that was built. So unlike printed paper, that's the only version that you see. These reports allow you to interact and look at different aspects of the information presented. So those are interactive reports. Next, there's a class of reports called forms. Forms are those reports that have a very specific format. So, for example, you've seen many purchase orders, that are out there that are sent to vendors when you want to buy something from them. Typically, these purchase orders would have a date, a number, who is it requesting those services, who is the vendor selling to, which vendor is this purchase order meant for, and details of the items you're purchasing. So there's a specific format. This means you have to place information in specific boxes or specific areas of the page. If you look at the previous two reports, they're more Excel-like. They are rows and columns, right? But a form does not follow that Excel-like format. It allows you to place different pieces of information in different places. Another example of a form could be an invoice that's created, right? The invoice also has specific information found in specific parts of that document. Checks, when you print checks, that's another form. So as you can see, forms broadly, if I want to classify them, I'll say forms are those reports that do not look like Excel, that do not necessarily have only rows and columns. They lend themselves to be what is called pixel perfect. You can literally decide where you want to keep what information, how you want to render it and print it. So those are forms. Next, Oracle Cloud has the ability to provide you direct connection from Excel or Word or PowerPoint to the cloud. So you can directly pull information from the cloud and use a tool that many, especially the accounting team members, they love this. They're used to, using spreadsheets and writing calculations and looking at numbers in spreadsheets. So this particular type of reporting lets you analyze information using a commonly used or a tool that the team is already familiar with. So you have a direct connection to cloud and you can pull data and interact with it. And we'll talk about this tool shortly. Next, you have what's called business intelligence. This means you have the ability to generate ad hoc reports, charts, different kinds of information that you can quickly extract. The biggest benefit or advantage of using a business intelligence-based tooling is that you're not depending on IT. You are able to build these yourselves, and it's quite straightforward and quite easy. And I'm hoping to show you how easy it is shortly. If time permits, I'll go into the actual application and show you how these get built. Next, you have inquiries. These are pre-built and provided by Oracle. So on various parts of the application, various pages, you have the ability to go in and inquire or query information. These are predefined by Oracle, but they're very useful because they provide you real-time, up-to-the-minute information. They can alert you. For example, this particular inquiry will show you the year-over-year amounts, and you can configure it in such a manner that if, say, my expenses went up by more than 15% since last year, please show me the line, otherwise don't show me. So that kind of inquiry and some charts and so forth. So this is another type of reports where you're just using screen to query the information and you're able to work with that. So I just wanted to walk you through a few of the different types of reports so you get familiar with them and you understand how these inquiries and printed reports and ad hoc reports work. This is another example of an inquiry. It's sort of a pivot table where you can see by account, by cost center, the different amounts that, the balances that are there in your general ledger and so forth. So there are several inquiry screens that come pre-built. So that completes a review of the different types of reports you can generate, right? Now, across these reports, there's some capabilities that are inherent. And also I wanted to share with you how it's possible for Oracle to provide quickly summarized information across your whole enterprise. You could be a global company, you're working for a global company, and all that information is available real time. How is it possible? So, especially in the general ledger and the planning and budgeting side of applications, Oracle has embedded Essbase, which was an acquisition. It's a technology acquired from Hyperion. It's embedded this multi-dimensional cube. What it does is for every transaction that you have, saved or entered in the system, it immediately computes the summaries and places it at the right level, the right location, so that when you query or extract the information, it's not going and adding millions of records to get you the total. The total is pre-computed and kept there. So that allows you to quickly access and report. So you're able to analyze, pivot and analyze different, pieces of info using this. Typically, it's used for GL reporting, general ledger reporting. Then Oracle's Cloud has the capability to drill down directly to the details. So one of the biggest requirements you'd see across any reporting needs, you'll see a common element when you're working with an executive or a user who needs a report. If you give them a summary number, you say, okay, this is, this month's expenses are 50,000. The immediate question would be, okay, can you show me how we got to spend 50,000? Can you tell me the different details, the different expenses that happen on that particular day? So the capability of a report to take that 50,000, you click a link, and then it goes down, immediately shows you, okay, here are the 14 transactions that happened this month that caused it to become a $50,000 expense, is what drill down is about. So the ability to take summaries or balances and then provide the drill down. So there's very powerful drill down capabilities down to the very transaction that's available in Oracle. And you can, even in the report that you build, custom report that you build, you can include this capability. Next, as much as you can build ad hoc, charts and graphs and analytics and KPIs, Oracle has embedded some pre-built analytics across all the applications. So there's over 150 embedded BI components in the applications. So this helps users quickly make decisions, look at what the impact of the transactions are. So that's already provided, so you don't even have to build it. Next, from their acquisition of PeopleSoft, Oracle included a very powerful capability called trees or hierarchies. So there's all kinds of hierarchies available in the business world, right? A very common one that you can easily relate to would be the the time hierarchy or the calendar hierarchy. You start with a year, and then you either break it down into quarters, or you can go directly to months, or you go to quarters and then months, and within months there are days and so on. So you see, you have a hierarchy where you can take the transactions that happened on a particular day, roll it up to a week, roll it up to a month, roll it up to a quarter, and then to a year, and so on. So you can go up and down, and that's a tree. Similar example could be that you belong to a company that has multiple departments, and then within the departments, perhaps they are located in different locations, and then at each location, there are different employees. So you could start with the employees, roll them up to the location they belong to, roll it up to the department they belong to, and then roll up to the division or roll up to the company they belong to, and so on. So this going up or down different levels of hierarchy is the concept of trees. And these trees are embedded in various locations within the applications that allow you to easily build complex reports. So the advantage of using trees is the moment you select one of the fields that belongs to a tree, you don't have to write any code. It'll automatically let you roll up and roll down information within that. So those are trees. Next, we have the ability to support multiple formats. So you build a report once, and that could be either rendered in the browser as an HTML page, or you can export it as a PDF or a Word document or Excel. So there's very powerful export or support for multiple formats. So that's already included in these tools. The report that I showed you using Excel as directly connected to the cloud, that reporting tool is called SmartView. So by using SmartView, you could you basically install an add-in, and that add-in becomes available in your Microsoft Office applications, namely Excel, Word, PowerPoint. So you could log in as you and extract or query information from Oracle Cloud down to your own documents and then publish them. So the advantage here is you build one report to share with your management, like the one you're seeing here embedded in a Word document. So if you say you had to generate a report for your manager every quarter, right? You build it once. The quarter end happens, you go in, you log in, you click a button to refresh, and automatically it'll populate the next quarter's data. And you simply save that as a PDF and send it to your manager. So you don't have to sit and painstakingly calculate, add, compute everything for that quarter and so forth. So it's a very, very powerful tool that saves users a lot of time. The next tool we have is BI. It's called Oracle Transactional Business Intelligence. So if anyone talks about OTBI, this is what they're talking about. So here you have the ability to quickly drag and drop. This is a tool most commonly used, or any user can use it without any programming knowledge or capability. And you can simply drag and drop columns and be able to extract information and present it as a table, rows and columns, or as a chart. So that is BI. Then there's mobile apps that are available that can let you report on either a tablet or a phone, any mobile device. That's also included. Now, across all these reports, you have a very unique feature. There's so much data. We saw that, right? Everything's stored in a single database. You do not want a user, say, for example, to be looking at the CEO's salary. You do not want any person on the sales team, say, looking at your cost or how much you're buying certain things from. So there's some sensitivity to which data you want to share with which person. What Oracle has done is built an amazing role-based security model. So depending on your role in the company, you will only see what's available to you. For example, there could be one report, could have 3 different columns. Say the VP of finance can see all columns, but someone who's entering data entry clerk, will only see 2 columns because the last column was sensitive. So they're running the same report, but because there's roles defined and security rules established, they only see what's available to them. So that's the power of role-based security, and that's included across the board in all the reports that are provided with Oracle Cloud applications. So that completes a review of the reporting capabilities. A quick look at how we can access the underlying data so you can understand how to build reports using it. I have shared this in my previous session as well, that we had a technical overview session last week, and this is similar. Those of you who attended that, this would be a refresher for you. So first, you need to know what's the point of delivery. It's a four-letter code that Oracle provides to every environment, and once you have that code, you will be able to figure out what the URL would be for your applications. So, by the way, this is going to change when Oracle moves the applications to the Gen 2 cloud, the new data centers. But at least currently, majority of the customers are still here. So this is the way. The first four letters are the point of delivery, and you see how they're represented for production and test environment. Next, you have to know where your data center is, because that's also included in the URL. So there are different data centers, the new ones being created, always most recent one being opened in France. So each one has a 3-letter code, the last one being a number, the first two are alphabet. So how did the data model evolve? It came predominantly from eBusiness Suite, and then for a majority of the modules, Oracle also picked Siebel for some of the CX modules, the customer experience module. And then from PeopleSoft, we already talked about trees, but there's several other components that were embedded in PeopleSoft. So you have access to this documentation online. So if you go to that URL, you'll be able to look for a particular product family. Simply Google, you can, in fact, to take a shortcut, you can simply Google the name or description of what you're looking for. Always prefix it with Oracle Fusion and then say AP invoice table, and it will provide you a link directly if you don't want to go through these steps. But that's the goal, right? Make sure you identify what object you're looking for. Once you know which one you're looking for, you get a documentation of the description of the object, which columns are being used, and so forth. And then when you want to go into Oracle to look for actually create a report, you will open the BI Publisher tool. That's the URL to get to the BI Publisher. Time permitting, I'll show you this. Then you can go and create a data model and then build a report based on the data model. So that's how you will be building these reports. So again, I skipped over that. You will have access to these slides as soon as the APAC OUC uploads them. Take a look at them. You have the steps there. But what I'll do is I will finish these slides and then jump into a quick demo to show you how you can build some of these reports. So I will not have the time to show you all the tooling, but let me touch on the ones I'm going to show you. These are the 4 tools that are available by Oracle. The BI Publisher is the one that's used to build printed reports or forms. OTBI, Oracle Transactional Business Intelligence, is used to build ad hoc reports. So potentially, I'm going to show you these 2 today. The Financial Reporting Studio is used to build general ledger balance-based reports, like final reports such as income statement, balance sheet, cash flow, and so forth. And Smart View, I've been talking about, is the capability. It's an add-on to your Microsoft Office products to connect Excel, Word, or PowerPoint to the cloud. So those are the 4 reporting tools. I just wanted you to get a sneak peek at how each one looks. So this is BI Publisher. We talked about a data model. You can either build or use an existing data model. Believe it or not, you can even upload data from a spreadsheet and write a report based on that. Or you can use the Oracle provided subject areas. So there's a 6-step process. If you see on top, there's a train stops that tell you the step-by-step process to build the reports. And that's what this tool lets you do. So you can build your reports. Some of the You can even take some of the existing reports that Oracle built using this tool and modify them. You can make a copy and create your own. And they lend themselves to creating all kinds of reports. They could be tabular, they can include chart, they can be form based, like we said, invoices or purchase orders, that kind of reports as well. And then this tool also has that ability to export in different formats. We talked about it, HTML, where you can look at it in a browser, or export as an Excel sheet or a PDF, or a document, Microsoft document. So you can, after the report is built, you can run it and indicate how you want the format, what format you want to export it in. Next, OTBI. This one has 7 train stops, similar to, but behaves differently because this is more geared towards the end users. So when it comes to OTBI, you access the tool and then you select one of many subject areas. And then within the subject areas, it's organized by folders with columns within the folders. So you can pick and choose what you want to report. And it's primarily, as I said, geared towards end users, business users. And the best part about both these tools, BI Publisher and OTBI, is you're looking at information real time. It's coming directly from the underlying database, ready for you to access. And this particular tool predominantly is for transactional reporting, not mostly not summarized, but more for transactional reporting. And it's a very good self-service reporting tool for ad hoc querying and reporting. You can even build charts with it. And then once you build the charts and reports, you can embed them in dashboards. So when you log in, you don't have to run the reports. Immediately, the information will be displayed in tables and charts. So you have visibility into how your department or your organization is doing. And also, just like BI Publisher, Oracle has some several pre-built reports that they use the OTBI tool to build. Particularly reconciliation reports for receivables and payables are very powerful, built using OTBI. The next tool I mentioned was the Financial Reporting Studio. This tool is primarily for general ledger reporting. This is a tool you'd use to build your income statement, your balance sheet, so anything pertaining to the general ledger and balances is what you do. This used to be a desktop-based tool, but then Oracle moved it to the cloud. So there's a web version available. So you go in there and you can create various grids of data. It could be tables or charts, but all belonging to the general ledger balances, and then you can complete building your reports and make them available to your users. And this report accesses the Essbase cube that I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation. We talked about the capabilities and Essbase was embedded. So this is the product, again, inherited from Hyperion acquisition. So lets you build your reports using the Essbase tool. And last but not least, we have been talking about the smart views. So this is how it looks. You can drag and drop columns there. You can do pivots and drill downs and analysis. You can double click and go look at the detail and so forth. You can also use Excel's capabilities in this tool. So once you get you have a good idea that's the correct number, you could simply do a smart view copy from Excel and do a smart view paste into Word or PowerPoint. So the information that you see here will also become available in the other Microsoft Office tools, and then you can use that for your reporting. So that's smart view. So there's a couple of slides to explain to you which reporting tool to use. So as you can see, it's color coded. Anything in red as it's summarized data, balances only, not transactional. So Financial Reporting Studio is one of the tools, SmartView is the other, and typically it's used to report against the general ledger or the planning budgeting cube. So that's for balances. Transactional reports, you could use the OTBI tool as well as BI Publisher, plus some of the monitoring inquiries and Account Inspector that Oracle has provided out of the box comes from, uses, is also used for transactional reporting. So you have all these tools. This is a good slide to let you know, depending on what you want to report. If you want to report on GL, you could use these two tools for balances reporting. But if you're looking at GL transactions, you can go to the other two tools. But when you're reporting against any of the subledgers, receivables, payables, purchasing, assets, expenses, inventory, or projects, you will have to use the transaction reporting tools. These two tools in red do not have that capability. This is also another slide that's useful, a couple of slides that will help you. So this gives you a good understanding of, okay, if this is the tool, what's its role or purpose, and then what types of data it supports and what it is used for. Similarly, there's this slide that tells you, okay, depending on what kind of report you want to build, which tool should you use or which inquiry will be sufficient for your users and so on. So these two slides, please review them. Once these slides are uploaded by the organizers, take a look at them. We do have a little bit of time, so I'm going to jump right in and show you some capabilities here. So here's let me make this slightly smaller so it fits within the window. Let me bring it back in. So here we go. So here's an instance of the applications. In order to access the OTBI tooling, you click on this option, which is under Tools, Reports and Analytics. It will take you to a page where you can build reports. So, for example, for ad hoc analysis, you could say Create Analytics, and then it presents various subject areas. So you see there's a ton of them, and it's very easy for you to search for. And let me just search for payables, for example, and you'll see there's a whole bunch of real-time subject areas that you can select from. So if you want to report on invoice transactions, then you simply select that and you say continue. And at this point, you have selected the subject area. It'll take you to the wizard that lets you, step by step, see the 7 steps on top. It lets you select the columns and then eventually save the report. So if you expand the subject area, you'll see there are various folders, and each folder has a number of, columns. So if, for example, if I expand the supplier folder, there's all these columns. Say I want to select the supplier name, I can move it over. So there's a supplier name. One best practice as part of this tutorial is important for you to know that do not open many folders at the same time. Always work with one folder. So collapse that and then go to the next folder. The advantage is you don't get confused, because if you have many folders open, because it's such a small window, you'll not know where you are and what you're trying to figure out. So, and also it looks a bit confusing in the beginning, but then as you start using it more and more, you will realize where things are. You'll be able to get to them quickly. So you see now I selected supplier, I have the amount paid, the original invoice amount and the amount paid. So those are 2 columns. Again, following best practice, collapse that and then move to the next column or folder that you want to access. So this one contains different pieces of information, approval information, asset, general information. If you expand that, you'll get more details that you can include in the report. So you see there's all these columns that came up. Say I want to pick the invoice line description. So I can click here and move it over. So you see, I have all this information for my report. So that's the first step. Now, I also want to point out that there is an interaction here. You could, if you want, establish it such that you can drill down or navigate to a transaction or have no interaction on any column. So once you finish selecting the columns, you can reorder them by clicking on the buttons on the right. So I could say I want the amount to be after the amount paid, so I can move it up and down. See, this is how you move it. And then when you click next, here you can decide how or what you want to show. So say I want to have a table to see that report. I can give the report a title. So you see my table is here. Then say I also want a chart. Say I want a bar chart, and that chart shows up below. Then you can decide how you want it. Do you want it side by side? Do you want it table below graph? And so on. So you can decide how you want to show the information and so on. So I want to pause here. You get the idea. You have to go through the steps. You can then view the report. I also want to show you BI Publisher, which was the other tool I talked about. So if you go to XML P server, that's the URL, you'll see that it's similar. So I told you I'll show you how to use the data model. So if you say new data model, these are the steps that are in the slides that I showed you. What you can do is go and say, create a new SQL query. You could call it anything. So this is the demo data set. You could pick from financial supply chain data or HCM data or CRM data. Say if I choose financial supply chain data, I can select that. It's standard SQL. You have other things you could do. So here I could say select star from GL periods, for example, just to give an idea. So I could say OK, and all the columns in the GL period show up. And then you could go to data. Here you can preview up to 5 rows, 10, or up to 200 rows max. When you click on view, it'll show you the period data that's in there. So you could see the period name, the start date and end date of the period, and so on. You could click on table view. You could see all the columns in the table. So once you have this, you have to save a sample data, and then you simply create report to click, drag, and drop these reports. Let me do that real quick. And then when I say create report, I don't think I should do that. Let me save this. I'll say demo and save that data model. And then I'll be able to quickly go into creating a report. Now you'll see the similarity. It's very similar to what you saw in OTBI. Now it is using my data model. So when I say next, it'll let me pick the columns that I want to add and help me create a report. So you see, here's the layout. I say next. So you see the same 7 steps, or 6 steps in this case. The OTBI has 7, this has 6, but you'll soon see the data model that I just created and all the columns show up. So I can, drag and drop period name, and then I can drag the start date, and I can drag the end date, and so on. I don't need a grand total. So you start building a report, then you can preview a report, you can save the report. I wish we had a lot more time, but there's a lot of tools and capabilities to cover. I just wanted to show you a quick demo of the 2 tools. This is for building robust reports that are pixel perfect, and this one for ad hoc reporting. I hope this at least gives you an understanding of how Oracle's reporting tools work. With that, I will stop to see if there are any questions, and I'll hand it back to Francisco to complete this session.
Thank you so much, Basheer. Another very interesting educative session as always. I cannot see any question coming by the chats at the moment. If you have any questions and you don't want to ask directly on live, you can ask Basheer by his contact information on the screen. You can see his email, you can see his Twitter handle, and Basheer will be more than happy to answer your questions. Likewise, if you watch one of the replays of the session through the platform, please feel free to contact Basheer at any time of the contact information on the screen, and he will be answering your questions as soon as possible. Yep, looks like no questions are coming, Bashir. Thank you so much for taking the time. And I think so is late afternoon for you on in the US, and sharing your knowledge with all the Asia Pacific and global community. Thank you so much again, and please take care and be safe, Bashir.
Thank you, Francisco. Thanks for having me. I look forward to the next conference with you.
Me too. Thank you. Everyone, please take care and be safe. Have a wonderful day, evening, or morning, depending when you are around the world. Bye bye.
CloudDB, shaping your new normal.